Everybody, it's Andrew Brown, and I'm back from lunch. So, I just had a moment to eat there, and we're moving on to more stuff. I feel like my voice is good, so we can do another round of this. I'm just getting a little bit set up here, making sure people know what's going on. If you're hopping in the room, definitely say something hello or anything so I know what's going on. And again, I'm just going to pop out that chat, pop out the chat here. We'll go over to Twitter and just tell people that I'm doing round two. Okay, so we're going to go down, and I'm going to just say round two. And I'm just going to go share that again. Hi, Abdul, how you doing? Welcome to round two. As if round two is that fun, but we'll get there here in a second. I'm going to just go paste this to some key people. I'm going to go over to the, I didn't do this earlier. I don't know why I didn't do this, but I'm going to drop this into whoops. Round two of planning. Okay, I'm just going to fix that spelling mistake. If anyone's coming in the room, I do not see you right now. I'm just trying to get set up. And now I have my attention here. I'm going to go back to live video. And so when you do enter the room, come and say hello. Okay, so people know. And I'm going to pick up where I last left off. I'm a little bit hot, so I'm going to take off this sweater here. These lights are hot. And so coming back to my slides earlier, I was working through these OSS slides, and I was just thinking that, there's some things I should be defining in the beginning of this course that kind of lead to what this is. And it could be inside or outside of this, but one thing I think that's really important to understand is the concept of cloud native. So what is cloud native? Because that is a term that means a few different things, and I'm hoping to better define what that is there. And I also want to describe what is a cloud developer. So what is a cloud developer? Hey Vlad, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. And just to do a quick recap here. So in the last one, I wasn't really doing much in terms of, I made some new slides. I went down here and was adding stuff to the Gitpod OSS to kind to pad that out. But now what I'm doing is I transferred over the Gitpod, where the heck did I put this darn thing? Gitpod Exam Pro Co. Gitpod Certification Exam Guide. And so I figured this was a better home for it. Now I can't seem to get my slides and docs to be shared. We have like a ticket open with Microsoft Azure or Microsoft Office 365 because there's definitely a bug in our Teams. But so I decided to migrate this over, and I think this is better because now people can discuss things, raise issues, things like that. 1 hour between client calls. Well, I'll take any time I can get. So what I'll do is just paste this link in here. And so the idea is that I figured, like, if I can open this up to community so they can contribute, I'd love that, so that it's shaped it's not just my opinion or Gitpod's opinion, but we can kind of make this something that's going to be of value. But really the goal is to make a micro certification that is going to be wrapped up into a larger certification. And I don't know if it should be cloud developer or modern application developer. I'm thinking right now it's cloud developer because when you look at these things, unless you have containers and serverless, and we do have containers here, maybe it's not that. So I'm kind of split between the two. Hi, how you doing? And so, I don't know if and what I will do for these. I think Podman would be a really good container course to do. GitHub Actions is very popular. To me, it's not so much the fact that we're using GitHub Actions, but it's more like the cloud developer knowledge of what you need to do automation. So I think if you use any tool, you're going to have that knowledge, and then hopefully you can transfer that to other places. This is obviously going to expand it. I put the domains in here, and so I was just going through here and saying, okay, do I have all the coverage here? So autonomy of Gitpod OSS is still a bit fuzzy, but if we go up the top here, the language you're using, instead of Cloud IDE, we're using Cloud Developer Environment. So I think that is what we want to focus on for our language for this stuff. And so I don't know if it's important to know what a cloud developer is. I'm going to, I think I'm going to put it in. I want it in here. So what I'm going to do is open this up in Gitpods. Okay, we'll close some of these tabs here. And Vlad, I tried to make a website here, and it is ugly. I tried a template here, like to make it kind of like an exam guide page, and I guess I'll just have to tweak the Jekyll templates. It's just, I'm not good at Jekyll. Give me HTML, CSS, I can do anything, but like, then you give me Jekyll, and I don't know what to do there. So, we're opening that. Oh, that's so darn fast, how fast that opens. And so what I want to do here is I want to go to the top, and I want to add in, define, I'm going to say, what is a cloud developer environment? I always spell environment wrong, so we'll fix that. Hey Lou, how you doing? Welcome to the party. And so, yeah, Lou, we're changing the language from cloud ID to cloud environment, developer environment, because I think that has more synergies. Like, I think GitHub's using that language, and I think it's like, it's not about development, it's about the developer. And so it might sound like I'm splitting hairs here, but I think it's kind of important. Cool. So, and I did one earlier, Lou, I just didn't share it. I don't know why I didn't put it in the Gitpod stuff. So I think, you know, defining what is cloud native is important. And Vlad, I could really use some help here because my definition is kind of like here. Let me say, what is a cloud developer? Websites are hard in both tech and design, and its variable fonts is now also typography work. Tell me about it. So I think these two things deserve an inclusion. So I'm going to go back over here. We're going to add that. So add to cloud development. Sounds good. It's very much more than an IDE powered by workspaces. Yeah, exactly, right? Like, instead of thinking of the IDE, let's think about the developer environment. And that makes more sense in the, I think, in the scope of things. But, you know, people can argue with me if they want to change that that opinion here. So I'll go ahead and we'll sync that. We'll say OK. I don't really know how that sync thing works, but it's VS Code. I don't know VS Code too well. And so coming back over here, I want to go and pull up my slides. And this is something that I'm having a hard time lose. Like, there's a collection of OSS tools, but I guess I have to go set up a OSS thing to really understand it. But I feel like I'm missing something in terms of the glue of how all these things work, because Gitpod's not just the OpenVS Code server, it's the Gitpod server. So I have to go explore there, but let's do some easy ones like Cloud Native and Cloud Developer. And so Cloud Native is a weird term. I gotta look it up. So what is Cloud Native? Because it means two different things depending on who you ask. So let's go see what Wikipedia says is an approach to software development that uses cloud computing to build and run scalable applications in modern dynamic environments. Technologies such as containers, microservices, serverless. I mean, that sounds okay. Frequently, cloud applications are built on a set of microservices. So even Vlad says he doesn't know what it is. A term started by folks that wanted to compete with AWS and make DC stuff. DC as in the comics, right? Stuff cloudy that got bastardized into a mess. It's true, but I think we still have to kind of like play along here with the language. So I'm going to give it two definitions. So let's say like the AWS there's two definitions, I think. I feel like I might have done this in my CL1 course. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it up and just see if I wrote it already, because it's so much easier if I already wrote it. So just go over to my refresh. By the way, my CL1 is amazing. It's boring, but it's amazing. We have Cloud Native NFS, which is an oxymoron. Yeah, the language is silly. I do this in a section called, like, this has 297 slides. So this course here is teeny tiny, 71 slides. It's nothing. So we have, where are you? Oh, it'd probably be under Cloud Concepts, actually. Cloud Native, where is this junk? Everything the workload built on top of CSP. I could have swore I defined this somewhere. Making your own definition in the context of this course sounds like the best approach. Probably, yeah. So, I mean, it's just the fact that when you think of cloud native, especially in the context of this, it's the idea of running, like, I think the definition here that Wikipedia has is decent. So, cloud native, we'll say the definition, or I guess we could just start with my own. So, like, cloud native describes an architectural approach that allows you that emphasizes um, uh, application workloads. I'm making this stuff up good, aren't I? That are portable, isolate, or maybe like modular, isolate between different cloud deployment models and cloud cloud service providers. Okay, that's kind of my like whatever I just said. So I don't know if you like that, but that's, and I might put some caveats under here. So just to kind of make this more plain English, like so generally, so we could say like generally if you are, maybe give an example. So if you are building an application, a web application using, so a serverless not cloud native then if it's not portable. Well, I mean, that's what I mean. Like when you talk about cloud native and Kubernetes, like, and I think the definition existed before AWS started using it, right? And that's the problem is that when we have modern application development, we have serverless and containers. But, it was AWS just describing cloud native as using public cloud. Like we just use public cloud first, like being cloud first. And so, serverless, that's what I asked this before, is like, is serverless cloud native? And the answer was murky, right? So I don't know. And I think it's just like, maybe we just address the fact that there's like confusion with this term. Cloud describes an architectural approach that emphasizes application with its portal modular isolate. And maybe what I'll do is I'll put a asterisk here. Okay. Yeah, I like the cloud first. So we'd say so. CSP. So CSPs commonly describe cloud native as a term meaning everything built on the CSP. This is more so better described as being called cloud first. Okay. And I think for like so we'll have to put context. So, in the context of Gitpods and cloud developer environments, cloud native will mean utilizing. And actually, you know what? We shouldn't say that serverless can't be cloud native because I think that Supabase, but I might be proprietary, but Supabase, would they be considered cloud native? Because they're supposed to work on everything, right? Create a backend and portal. Start with your Progress database. I thought they're portable. Or maybe they just abstracted away. We don't know what it's running on. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know. If we go like database, does it run anywhere? Like where does it run? So I don't know. This is some confusion there. Yeah. But anyway, you're right. We don't need to spend too much time. There are cloud native runtimes, workloads, open fast. Yeah, okay. So in the context of Gitpods, so cloud native will mean utilizing microservice architectures, modern development, modern application architectures. So generally, think serverless or like we say like function as a service, containers, Kubernetes, things like that. I don't know. That's my closest guess here. And people can watch the video and see come back to this video and be like, oh, Andrew's just making it all up. But it's on the exam, as long as we get people kind of there. Yeah, I know. I don't want to dig too deep here. I should have like a logo for here. So let's talk about what a cloud developer is. And I mean, we can talk about what is a cloud developer, and then we have what is a modern application engineer. I'm using engineer because I feel like it's more engineering. I don't know if you'd say developer. So it might help. No, I'll just call it developer. I don't care. I don't need to make a whole separate slide for that. And again, these are obviously like that concrete, so we're making it up as we go. and hopefully the industry will agree with us. What is a cloud engineer? So, hey Rinku, welcome to the stream. So, the thing I'm trying to think is like, if you are doing things that require you to know how to do Kubernetes, more administrative based, more like if you're trying to build a web app, you're like, I'm trying to build a web app using cloud native workloads or cloud based tooling. I'm taking a cloud first approach to building a web application using cloud native workloads or cloud-based tooling, right? Okay, and so the thing is, it's like the focus isn't not necessarily the focus is less about architecture and life cycles and scaling and more about being a productive developer using cloud. That is my guess right now. Then we come over to modern application developer. Okay, and what we're going to say here is possibly a modern application developer is, I'm thinking about how to architect applications using serverless, containers, microservices. It's about figuring its larger focus on architecture, life cycles, scaling, not so much about building out the web application, less product focused. Because like over here they're touching code like that is the design, like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm building out this web app, but cloud is part of the thing that I have to do with it. Where this is a cloud first priority, right? Where it's like that's what I think about first, like and you could say like these two work together, right? So, and so we would say like these. I think these two play a role together. I think that they should be closely, because like this person complements this person because they're thinking about the overall architecture. I don't know. And sure, you could say like this is a cloud architect or a solutions architect, but when you have the lens of thinking about thinking about the application, right? Not just, I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's what I'm doing. Okay. And also I just want people to get indoctrinated when they start at the beginning so they get that mindset, right? I'm going to just change this to cloud. Whoops. Name is to cloud developer environments up here. Okay. So I think that's kind of like where I want to go with this. This still has to get fleshed out. I don't know about this one here. I got to think about that. I feel like this is kind of loose. This needs a graphic to kind of just describe like a ecosystem or stuff like that. So a couple things that I'm having a hard time with that I just think are interesting that I think that people might be thinking about is under workflows. So under here I have one called, where is it? Oh, it's not under here. Maybe it's under workspaces. Where is this? I'm going to search for this. I was thinking, oh, you know what? It's probably under images. That's probably where it is. So we go under here and we have, yeah, so I saw one. This is interesting. You can do a Docker compose. So I thought this was kind of interesting. And I thought like it was just kind of like a edge case that I hadn't seen, because I was digging through all the different quick start templates to kind of understand like the variations here. Because I wanted to know like how often did they extend from the base or from the full. And then I saw this one. I was like, oh, this is weird, because the way this one works is it just says Docker compose pull, compose up, and stuff like that. So I guess this is running containers within containers. Like I don't even understand what's going on here. Like, can you run containers inside of containers? Like, how does this work? I don't understand. But they're doing it, and I actually haven't launched this, so I'm actually very curious to see how that works. I think that's a really important question that I have to go ask over in the support here, because this one is like, Uh, how the heck can you run containers within containers? Okay. Okay. Explain this magic. That's using the default Gitpod image, which I think is workspace full. But I guess my question is like, I would think like you can't put containers inside of containers for some reason. You know what I mean? For some reason in my brain, I just feel like you're not supposed to be able to do that, and I don't know why. You can run containers in containers, and you can build containers in Gitpods, and those are the two things that I want to highlight because I feel like if I'm questioning those things and it's a thing that I'm thinking about, that they're worth highlighting. So you can run containers within containers. And I saw a repo for Packer, so you can build containers within containers. So, I mean, Packer is not for containers, it's for virtual machines, but like, it'd be really nice if we had like a Gitpod builda and builda. But I did see Packer as an example app. It's Docker in Docker. Yeah, I say I don't understand, like, it's running Kubernetes, but is it using Kubernetes with Docker, or is it... See, I'm mixed up. Like, I can't tell the difference because I'm not, again, I haven't made my Kubernetes course. So I just don't understand, like, is the Docker being generated adjacent to the Kubernetes? Is it part of the Kubernetes? I don't know. As a developer, I don't think you need to go that deep, but like generally it's just like I'm confused. I mean, if I know I can do this, that's great. If I don't know how the magic works, that's fine. I don't care. You can build containers or virtual or VM images within containers. The Docker is basically starting the WordPress stack like it's npm run. I just don't get it. I mean, I want to see this in action, so I'm just gonna hit the button and spin it up for fun. And that's my favorite thing, just being able to hit that button anytime I want. And Vlad, I think I figured out a way where I can use these as workshops. So what I'm going to do is have a Gitpod button in my platform. And from there, what I'm going to do, am I still on screen? Oh, my head's cut off. I've been cut off the entire time. No one said anything. But yeah, I'm thinking about like making a custom image that will have some code that will will constantly check whether people are doing particular stuff in their code base that will communicate back to my learning platform. And what I'll do is collect their GitHub handle when people go into my platform. So I have their identity to say, oh, is this the person that is using this thing? And then pass environment variables along. And I think that's the safest way I can do it. How Docker in Docker works is another, and so that's where you make like an inception joke, right? So we have like inception. It's like they're an Inception meme. I'm going to be lazy. I'm just going to grab this for now. Okay, and then I'm going to just put under quotations here, like, technically Docker within Docker. Whatever that means, I don't care. We'll say 22 here. We'll do this. We really got to get a... we haven't put it on the books yet, but we really need to get like a Gitpod or a cloud developer Twitter space going here. I'm a little bit booked up at the moment. We could do it during reInvent, because I have to do Twitter spaces every day. But I had no checking for what folks did. Yeah. So this is what I saw something for. I'll bring this back over because I saw in the GitHub Gitpod stuff. I saw Packer. So I mean, I might just dump that link in there and maybe talk about like that it can be done, not how it works. And so we will go back over to here, and I definitely saw Packer in here. So we'll go here, Packer. I kind of just want to do Builda because I've been trying to solve it so that I can get my a custom build for my dev, the dev.cloud. You know, my site that's not going anywhere? This one here is dev.cloud. I've done nothing with just because I don't have a good container build pipeline to customize it. So we have this here, and this is Packer GCP. So we have our HCL file here. Okay. I want to look at the Gitpod file. That's what I'm interested in. So we have that. And Ubuntu full call. I'm just kind of going through this really quickly here. Docker client. So it has the client. There's Helm. There's Kubernetes. It looks like they just copied a lot of the stuff out of the full because they're not extending the full. So I think they just kind of like customized it themselves. Google Cloud SDK. That's kind of cool. So I'm just going to dump that in there. Still would love to see one for Builda or something. I know that, but isn't the building the actual VM image that Gitpod will run on? But isn't that the building the actual image that? Well, no, isn't it build a custom VM image to, in GCP using Packer? So no, this will build out a GCP image, right? So if I understand correctly, I'm gonna just see if they have a Builda one. Lou, if you ever get time, just make an example for Builda, because like it is needed. Builda and Podman, you will see. Builda, nothing. And there's Dazzle, but I don't know, like, is that just, this is like Docker image stuff, so I don't know, like, I guess you could use, can you use Dazzle within Gitpod? Like, that's something I don't know. This is, I guess, an alternative to Builda, and I think it's, I don't know, but I think it's for the roadmap, because if you go to the Gitpod roadmap here, it's over here. I can't believe like how much information I get, because like once I'm done this course, I'll forget everything like within a day. It's crazy. But they have a, where is it? I thought it was here. Where's the roadmap? Maybe it's the, oh, there, it's over here. Okay. If we go over here to the projects, I saw over here in the next quarter, it had something like image layers. So I'm thinking that this has to do with, allow choosing Dazzle layers to build the base. So I was right. It is linked to that. And I was almost thinking about like, should I investigate this? But I think that what I'm going to do is just release the course and we'll just have to do updates and be proactive about it. But this is what I was kind of curious about because I had never heard of dev container JSON, but I assume it's like a standardized way of launching multiple containers that are orchestrated within VS Code or some nonsense like that. So these are two ones I think that need their inclusion. All right. And so what I think I want to do now, because I pretty much have what I want. I still feel like this is kind of weak, the intro. But what I want to do to kind of like see if I can wring out any new information is I want to start creating questions. And what I do is I will just start making the crux of questions that I think that should be asked. And so this isn't going to go in the, I mean, like if people watch this, they're going to learn basically how the exam is, which is totally fine, but they're not going to see the full questions here. So what we'll do is I'm going to make a new spreadsheet. I'm just going to save this off screen so I'm not exposing all my information here. We'll go to where is this? Sites, certifications, documents, micro certifications, cloud developer, Gitpod, and this will be like exam questions mapping. And I think that 55 questions is an okay number. I can make it higher. I don't know. Like, what I want to do is just kind of like map out all the stuff that I've been covering and ask like one core question to all these slides that's nice and detailed, and then maybe that will determine the number of questions that should be in the exam. And I would like to have it at 80% passing, but we'll see as we go through here. We'll have to adjust and ask. Okay, so we'll have domain 1, so cloud developer environments, concepts. We have, yeah, I'm not checking what the folks did, but that isn't building the actual VM image with Gitpod to run it. I don't know. It's just magic to me. So we have domain 2. We'll need to go back to our template here. Whoops. There it is. Thank goodness. Didn't have to look for that. Because I just need these domain breakdowns. We'll go over to Excel here. Domain 3, so Gitpod integrations. And this will really help us get organized here. Domain 4, Gitpod workflows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just make sure the numbers aren't wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4. Did I skip one? Configurations, yep. Oh yeah, so Lou, the thing that I'm having the hardest time with is submodules and subtrees. And not necessarily that I want to do these, but what I'm trying to do is if I'm making this as, and I think you always have to have, I don't think there's any way around it, but you have to have a Git repo because I think everything is tied around that for a Gitpod YAML file. So I can make a repo that contains a bunch of repos via submodules or maybe subtrees. But I was just hoping to have like a Gitpod file in a subfolder, not necessarily like having Git modules, because I want to, in Exam Pro, I want to, on each page, have a Gitpod button. So when they're going through each of these, we'll have examples for every single thing here, and they can launch it, right? But I think I actually will have to make repos. And then when I think of that, then I'm like, oh, do I have to make a new organization? And I'll have to be like Exam Pro, Gitpod, examples. You know what I mean? And it's not that bad, but like I think that there's no way around it. I don't know if you can guarantee with that. Currently, workspace is 1-to-1 with the repo, and that's fine. I was thinking about like why that is, and it probably makes sense. So, like, it's not a big deal. Maybe I can like write a script to automate it for me. I don't know. I mean, just having the technology alone is amazing. So, domain 6. I feel like this section is the lightest. I probably will. Well, I guess we'll find out as we go through this, right? Yeah, I realize it's just, it is what it is. It's fine. Like, again, there's nothing else in the market, so it's fine. And I like, as you can tell, I don't mind doing the grind. So if there's a bit of a grind for me to do it, it's not a big deal. I'm just going to bring these down here. So what I'm going to do here is kind of write the crux to questions. What's your repo setup? Is it a monorepo? Is that a challenge? Well, there's no setup, right? It's just me trying. I was just trying to think of like, okay, if somebody has, because when you have like exam guides or like courses, and maybe it's just because I'm thinking of an old-fashioned way, but like if we go to like my Terraform one, right? These labs. So the idea is like they're all in folders, right? Like this. So as people are following along, they can go in there. But the thing is that I can't just have like a .gitpod file in all these folders. So now I can set it up this way with like submodules and referencing them, which is a pain. But I probably would do that if I have to make modules anyway, just to kind of like make it a little bit more clear. But you know, it's just not much about to do that. Oh, I didn't even know Codespaces doesn't do 1-to-1, but I think it's fine. Like, it's not a big deal. I just have to try it and say, okay, that's what it is. But it's just the fact that I've got to jump around through a bunch of different repos. But I'm kind of used to doing that because my I mean, well, this actually I guess it's not a big deal. You just press a button with Gitpods and it launches. So I guess it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, but yeah, I don't mind sharing anything here. So we'll go back over to. Oh yeah, I want to see if this worked, and it's broken. This probably I'm gonna say this is community. So I expect there be starting. Yeah, you better be. Having one just feels weird. Sure. Well, but I mean, like you'd start each Git pod individually. I just meant like I was thinking like from an organizational standpoint. But you're right. So this failed, which is fine. I don't know. I don't care about debugging this. I just wanted to see if this would launch. So this would be nice to see if this would work, just so that I can show it. So that's something I would like to see. I might just note that this is broken. We'll go over here. I really don't want to have to spend the time to figure this out. So I'm hoping like Gitpod engineers fix this. Okay. Broken example would be really cool to show in the course. Wink. That's me winking and saying, hey, get one of your engineers to fix this. Even if they didn't make it themselves, you know? I have to drop at the hour of the course. Yeah, okay, yes, you got 10 minutes here. I have another call. You can point Gitpod to a subdirectory file. It's not personally configured it to myself. I'd love to hack around this. I mean, you can change it. So, and that's something I don't actually know. Well, I mean, I was kind of like vague because I didn't know the exact answer for that. But if you go to like workspace, it's like location workspace or something like that. Workspace location. I it twice in here. Workspace, location, typical location here. Yeah, here. So you can set workspace location and checkout location. And I understood that checkout location was because of like Golang projects. I didn't really understand what's going on there. And it seems like if you changed one, you'd have to keep them in the same place, right? It wouldn't make sense. But you can change the workspace location, but that doesn't really help much because there's no programmatic stuff, eh? Run a Docker info. Oh, you're telling me to run a Docker info? Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I don't know Docker too well. There you go, Vlad. What are we going to see here? Running in rootless mode, we'll see enable the groups in rootless mode. Here, let's give a screenshot for... Did it? Oh, yeah. I'm going to just dump this into the chat here. I'm going to put it, like, if you want to see it in detail, I'm just going to dump it over here. That is more being able to... Oh, show things. Okay. So, yeah, I'm not sure what the issue is there. But anyway, somebody fix that, please. We will go back to this. And so keep on track here for 10 minutes here. And we'll go to the top of the list here. So we'll go back to my slides. Where's my slides? Here they are. And we'll go all to the top here. So define cloud native. Could be a question. Define cloud developer. Cloud developer versus because we could say define modern application development. That could be a question. Application engineer. What is a code editor? What is a cloud IDE? What is a cloud developer environment? Oh, thank you, KPS. Choose which are benefits of the of a cloud developer environment. Still working on this language here. Holy smokes, how do I type? So that will be one. I'm just trying to figure out like how many questions we'll end up with here. And so like I will create the first set and then I have like cloud support engineers and they'll go and make like the additional sets. What is Gitpod? So like, you know, it might be like, name the 3 things that Gitpod offers, right? E.g., so we have the OSS, the I/O, the enterprise, okay? Define the steps of a context, or like, which of the following best describes content-based workflows? I would love to have like a sandbox where it's part of the exam where it's like, oh, you actually have to launch one and achieve something. But for the first version, I don't think we'll get there, but maybe we can get that in an iterative process. I don't like to stick to multiple select and multiple choice, but that's what I have. Do we have to ask any questions about Visual Studio Code? No. Setting syncs I think is important. You know, like how does setting syncs in Gitpod vary from just VS Code? And I think this is true where what happens is like if you use setting syncs, it's stored on Gitpod, whereas like if you went with the other one, you'd have to sign in, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 questions. That's not a lot of questions. And this is how I'll know like if something's a bit too light. Like this should probably have about 10, 12 questions that get asked. So we have like visions and values. I don't know if that matters. We have different providers. So like, how is Gitpod different from GitHub Codespaces? Cool, thanks, Lad. Lou, if you're still here, just just say hi. Thanks, Vlad. We'll go here. So this is like only 2 slides. So I'm really having a hard time doing Gitpod concepts. I mean, I could do like higher level stuff and say like, oh, what is a workspace? But I define that in the workspace section. But I do have to, I feel like there's something missing here big time. Okay, cool. Yeah, so there's something, I don't know. This one's problematic. I don't know what to do with that one. We'll go to Gitpod integrations. This one's easy. So, and here's something like I don't know if I should even bother having slides here because they all have slightly different configuration options. And I don't know if I should show them. I might have to go set each one up and then look at what permissions are there. So I don't know if these are going to be really fleshed out much because there really isn't much difference between them all, at least as far as I could tell. So which of the following providers does Git providers does VS Code integrate VS Code Gitpod integrate with? How does Gitpod handle fine-grained permissions for repo access? Then there's like the JetBrains integration. I mean, I don't want to just say what is JetBrains. I mean, do we need to know much here? I guess it's more just like, we could say like, which IDE that has intelligent, which desktop IDE does Gitpod support? Because technically you could say here this would be JetBrains and VS Code. Yeah, there's a slide on that. We'll get to it. Browser extension. So here it's just kind of like what does the browser extension do? And here it's like, what is the purpose of the browser bookmarklet? It says like which web browsers does Gitpod work in? Yeah, the desktop IDs is going to be like in workflows, I think. So that's okay. This one's pretty. Oh, I put all this under concepts. This is integration. Okay. Silly me. So we'll take this. This one's going to be problematic. That's going to be a hard one. You'd be surprised. Like, stuff that's technical is really easy, but when you get conceptual stuff, it's just so hard. It's like pulling teeth for me. So we'll go here. Gitpod. There's a lot in the configuration file. So one that's fun to do is like, what is the name of the Gitpod configuration file? I know it seems like silly and easy, but like when I was doing the Terraform course or the exam, they actually asked like, what's the name of the file? I couldn't remember. Are mostly sugar to open up Gitpod's easier. What I wrote here was that there's a case where like you have computer workstations that don't allow the installation of browser extensions because some people like they have Chromebooks or maybe they're on an iPad or things like that. So like and I think this is true, right? Like it's just that like think Chromebooks, iPads. And I know iPad support's not here just yet, but it could be like lockdown workstations, imaged workstations. Like every time you launch, it resets, but it keeps your bookmarks. So that was my thought there. I remember the days of writing bookmarklets to run. Yeah, I know. I remember when it was really popular to get like when USB drives became like bigger, and you could like boot up your own OS. We used to do that at school all the time. And it's like we had SQLite. It was all about SQLite. Now like no one talks about it. What is the name of it? What language is Gitpod files written in? I know these seem like basic, but like sometimes like when you take an exam, it's nice to have easy wins, and also I'm not trying to make this exam super hard. You know what I'm saying? We have all these settings. I think they all get covered here, so we'll go here. So this I think is super important, is the iterative workflow, because this is something that really I think confused me, which is the idea is like when you want to modify a file, you're going to commit it, terminate, launch, observe. If it's good, you're going to say no, you're going to modify, you're going to do this loop. Because if you stop and start it, that's not going to stop it. So, so this would be like a scenario, which would be like, developer creates a, developer is modifying their Gitpod YAML file, or let's say Gitpod configuration file. And they stop and start the workspace, but no changes occur. What gives? Obviously, I'm going to write it better than that on the actual time we do it. So that would be one. And then another one would be like, choose from the list the steps to iterate on a Gitpod configuration file. So we just like choose these steps, right? We should probably codify this. This would be good, and like in the official documentation, take this, make it prettier than what I did. I could have made something nicer here, but this is something I think is like key to remember, because this really I didn't have a lot of confidence on this. Oh yeah, we have lots on configuration, so we'll go into this one here. So now we're talking about start tasks. So here we have. One thing I found out is that start tasks. So here it could be like, what is the purpose of naming a start task? Okay, and we know why it shows up. Easy to identify. Bash command. Like why? Like what happens when you launch multiple tasks? You'll get a new terminal per task. I think we cover all. Did I do open mode later on? Well, I'll have to circle back here and look. But a task has three possible. So we say what are the three possible execution order steps for a start task, and in what order do they perform? Like, Lou, you're getting all the answers here, so if you take it and you don't do well, we're gonna have to tweak it. There is no guarantee of the order of. Oh yeah, that's one thing is like it becomes like true or false. Like start tasks are true or false. Start tasks are always executed in the order they appear within a Gitpod configuration file. Well, you're gonna have to, because you're gonna have to tell me like, is this hard? Is this easy? You're gonna have to get your badge, put it on your LinkedIn, put it on your polywork. It's all about polywork, right? You can have terminals depend on the completion of other commands. Oh yeah, the sync it, wait, and sync done. I think we'll cover these here in a second. So here we could say like, what is before for? So it's like, what is the use case for before? What is the use case for init? What is the use case for command, super unexciting. Which of the following execution orders must terminate and cannot run something continuous, a continuous command? We'll go to the next one here, because there's a difference between like pre-build and new workspace. So like this is something that like we have the what is the order of the execution order? What is the overall execution order of a pre-build and new workspace? I'm just kind of like describing this flow here, right? And I know we're not talking about like why we should be doing pre-builds. We'll get to that soon enough. That might be in Gitpod workflows. Then we have like these multi-lines. So, you know, is this a valid syntax for multi-line? One thing I'd say is like, why, like, and I know this is not like Gitpod specific, but like, what's the point of the double ampersand? What is the purpose of double ampersand? What are two ways that you can write multi-line tasks? And there's obviously more than just these two, because this is based on what YAML lets you do. Another thing I might say is like, because like if we have one that doesn't have ampersand, so you know, let's, you know, what will happen? Nah, I guess we kind of have it with the double ampersand already. I mean, because like my again, support cloud engineers will come in and they'll write it in an alternate way, so I don't have to like write all the alternates in here. Oh, sync await, sync done, sync port. So, what can you do? You know, like you need to wait for a command in another task to complete. What can you do? You need to wait for a port to be open. What can you do? One thing I haven't figured out, and I don't know why that's happening. I thought if I got more deeper, I'd know. But like if I go to my Exam Pro marketing website, and I don't know why this is happening. I don't know if it's the way I wrote my Gitpod YAML file or if I messed up. But if I launch this here, is my head still cut off? Oh, it's a bit. So if I go into here, my Gitpod YAML file, I have these startup scripts. I'm going to wait for this to spin up here. But they all fail, and it's really annoying. Oh no, this one passed. Okay, this one failed. So yeah, like look at this one. This one failed. And so it's also using pre-build. So this is my JS CSS. So all it's doing is saying cd into source JSS CSS npm install. By the way, now that I know multi-line, I should really do it like this. Also, I don't think I need to put PWD there. I think that was just confusion. And so here it says, we're going to cd into here and npm install. 27 installed. This task ran as a pre-workup. And then down here it says, no such file exampro marketing package.json. Because this ran into the init, so it would have generated out. No, that doesn't make sense. I guess these are isolate from each other, right? So maybe I have to cd back in, because this would have ran in here, so it would have been in a different scope. That's why it's failing. I bet that's the reason why. So if I go here and I do this, and now that I know that everything's workspace, I can just type workspace like this. It's a lot easier to do this Exam Pro marketing. Okay. Thanks for helping me there. And also here, like if a pre-build, if this fails, like would it error out? I don't know, but I'm gonna do this here. That's probably what it was. See, I just had to have you on call to figure this out. Okay, so I think that would fix my issue, because if that's in the pre-build, that's probably the reason why that's happening. And that would be a scenario that I'd want to set up. So I'm going to go back to my thing here. This is probably under workflows. You know, you have a command you run in pre-build, and then init fails, but it worked fine in no pre-builds. And this would be like the example marketing example. I'll have to come back to that, because that, I think, is like something that would probably annoy the crap out of people if it happened to them. And I think that's the problem there. I don't know if bundle failed. No, that's fine. So what I'm going to do here is go ahead and save this. I think that's fine. And I'm just going to go and update Gitpod YAML file to work with pre-builds. Because before pre-builds, it worked fine. And I think that was the reason why. Workspace exam, I'm going to make sure it's spelled right. Yeah, that looks right to me. Sometimes this would fail too, because it would do the global install, but I don't think that's a problem anymore. And see, I don't know if like that should be like a before, probably not. It's always hard to say what goes in the before stage. But I'm going to go ahead and save this. We'll sync that. Say okay. And what we're going to do here now is just kill this. And I'm glad to know that every time you close this, it shuts down after 3 minutes. We'll get to that question here in a second. But back over to our slides. Gitpod. We'll go here next. I think it's good to know what networking ports are. So I'm going to say, like, what are popular ports to be used to run web developer servers? You know, because it could be someone that's like not, maybe they're used to like just running port 3000, the default one. They're trying to think of other ports. Then here we have Gitpod ports. So is this a valid way of setting a port? What happens if you start a web server and no ports are open? E.g. Gitpod will prompt you. Where in the Gitpod interface can you manage ports? Where in the VS Code, in the Gitpod VS Code, can you manage ports? Maybe that could be like a better question, but this would be the Remote Explorer. Just knowing what that is, I think is important. Down here we found out like cannot use ports lower than 1024, right? Can you open port 80 or 443 on Gitpod ports? Don't know about that. It's crazy how like I went from knowing nothing about Gitpods to like knowing everything now. Yeah. I don't get out. So down below, we'll go here. Can you define, is this a valid port range? It could be something like opening behavior. You know, so what will happen if you set a port to open preview? Open preview. What are the 4 possible values for on open? Port visibility, all ports are private. What is the default port visibility state when defining, when not specifying visibility. Allow anyone, only users within the workspace have access. Only users within the workspace access. That doesn't make sense. That's a spelling mistake. I'm gonna just highlight this weird so I don't forget about it. We'll just do something weird like this, pink. Something here would probably be good. Allows everyone. It'd be like like true or false about true or false. Private access allows only people within your Gitpod team to access whatever the port. I don't even know, because though I wrote that weird, so I don't know now. This is just kind of like extra information. We don't care about that. Here it's like, why does Gitpod not support Alpine? The Unix Alpine. Which Docker images, which Unix, Linux OS does Gitpod generally support? Debian, Ubuntu. You can reference an image. Oh yeah, what are the two ways? You can specify a Docker image within a Gitpod configuration file. True or false? It is generally bad practice to specify a tag for a Gitpod Docker image. Gitpod. Might throw one for loops. So we say like Gitpod container image files are configured using Kubernetes Kubernetes files, K8 files. Just kind of like make it up. Or be like, maybe it's like, what is the container definition file used for custom container images on Gitpod? So I'm not using the word Docker, and that might confuse them. So we say Docker file, container file, K8 file, Gitpod file, right? Just throw them for a loop. I thought this was kind of interesting, is that the workspace base image is based off of build pack dependencies. Okay. Just thinking here if this is like too tricky, because like here I found it interesting that there was the build pack dependency, so like you knew where it was building off the top of. So here I might just say like, it might be like Gitpod workspaces extends Gitpod base, and I know that's like a basic one. Sorry, workspaces full extends workspace base. I'm not sure really exactly when you'd want full image based images. You know what I'm saying? Like when you want to develop your own custom image, it's recommended to extend from workspace full. Then we have quick start templates. Quick start templates. Could be like a true or false. Could be like quick start templates only support the most popular programming languages. It has no templates for web frameworks. Okay, e.g. Ruby on Rails. I don't know. We just want to know that they've touched them. Docker Compose. This would be like can you run containers within containers? Can you build VM images within containers? Can you build container images within containers? Wow, workflows is giant. Or are we in configurations? Oh, we're in configurations. Oh, why? Because there's one here that's specifically for workflows, and now I don't know which one it is because it's a mess. Why did I do that? This is the first one? Yeah, it is. So we'll go here. And just do that. Wow, there's a lot for configuration. I mean, that's fair. Like, that's most of the work, right? And we're still not done configuration. Like 90% of the exam, configuration. What are the 4 ways you can set configuration variables? We want to ask them about like the default workspace URLs. What would happen if you wrote Gitpod hello? Like it'd have to be one that already exists, like Barsoon, which is from whatever that sci-fi thing is, Mars. So that addresses that prefixed, because that's all about the prefix, right? How do you retrieve, using envars, how do you retrieve the workspace, the current workspace URL? Oh boy. Envars can be set within the, oh yeah, these are just the different ways. So, but the thing is, like, what happens? There's like a scoping issue. So, if you set an envar in one task, will it be accessible in all terminals, or just the terminal for that task? Okay, here it could be like, you can only set one environment envar within a Gitpod URL. True or false? Are you going? Getting close. Cool, that's fine. Yeah, I'm just going to record, even though I'm just going to be me here. I'm just going to record, and if you want to watch, you can watch on 2x speed. But I'm just going to go through this until I get to the end, and then I'm going to call it quits for a bit, and then I'm going to just like prep slides for like a few hours. I think this weekend I'll start recording. Looking for the course, keep sharing. Cool. What can you set only envar within Gitpod? True or false? Terminals is set in the URL within available in all terminals within your workspace. When you set an N bar, okay. Then we got the wildcards here. Will the following scope do N bar? Hey VJ. Just going through and writing out generally what kind of questions I want to have on this exam. So this is like not what will show up in the, I mean they will, but it'll be generally what it is. So I'm just going through here and trying to figure out how many questions there will be. It's going to be pretty boring because I'm just going through here and writing questions. Going through the slides. All right, there we go. I mean, that was really boring, but I wrote through the first thing here. I'll expand more. Gitpod concepts is kind of troublesome. I need to do more there. But I guess maybe if I focus on that, we'll have a better outcome. But that's it. Thanks.